Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Let's talk about DOD installations, accessing them. We got 3 updates for veterans and caregivers, so I wanted to share that with you. But before we jump into it, I did want to throw a special thank you out to 2 folks that did the super comment thing. I don't even know what to call it. I super comment, super chat. I'm not really sure. Super thing. Thank you so much for your support. That is Mary Kelly 7774. Mary Kelly, thank you so much for your support with that super comment. I really appreciate it. And then Leslie Quinn, K7K. Thank you, Leslie Quinn. I appreciate your support as well for that super comment. I really do appreciate it. So with that, let's jump into DOD Installation Access Simplified, 3 updates for veterans and caregivers. This just came out November 15th, 2024. I wanted to share it with you here today. Please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. If you're not a member, consider joining. It does help the channel and helps me to find you quicker in the comments. All right, let's jump into this. In this article here from the VA, we're going to be sharing updates to DOD Installation Access Enrollment, updates to DOD Installation Access, and additional requirements for accessing commissary exchange MWR services. All right, so just to kind of set the stage, however many years ago now, 5 years ago or so, the only way a veteran, not a retiree, but a veteran could get onto a DOD installation by themselves was to be a 100% disabled veteran. Well, that changed about 5-ish years ago, could have somewhere around there, about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. That changed, and they changed it to allow any disabled veteran rated by the VA to where you could get on with your veteran affairs ID card, your healthcare card. So that was a big deal, and let's read what they're talking about here so you are aware. So if you weren't aware that you could even get on a base being a 20% rated veteran, for example, now you know. And they changed up a little bit during COVID because it was all wanky or wanky, whatever. And they would not allow, your spouse or anybody. It was only the card holder. But I'm pretty sure that's probably went away everywhere, and you can bring, your family members and what have you. So let's read into it. Veterans and eligible caregivers will soon have easier access to Department of Defense DOD installations for veterans beginning November 1st, 2024. That's 2 weeks ago. The updated process announced by VA and DOD, talking together, will streamline both enrollment and access to installations. More information can be found in the DOD fact sheet, which we'll also look at. DOD installations provide important services to veterans and their caregivers, such as healthcare, shopping. They missed the G, so it just says shopping. Whatever. It's kind of funny that way. And certain morale, welfare, and recreational items through MWR services like golf courses, movie theaters, and clubs. Recently, the VA and DOD have worked together to increase healthcare access for veterans in Alabama, the Gulf Coast, and Tampa regions of Florida, as well as Kentucky, New York's Hudson Valley, Tennessee, and Virginia. Updates to DOD installation access enrollment. Eligible veterans who do not have a VA-issued veteran health identification card. The VA-issued Veteran Health Identification Card. That is your healthcare card, the one that the VA issues you and says that you're a service-connected veteran, what have you. VHIC. So eligible veterans who do not have a VA-issued Veteran Health Identification Card, as well as eligible caregivers, can now enroll for installation access at the visitor center using their Real ID. So again, however many years ago now, I mean, the time flies, right? I don't even know if this was 10 years ago, then it was a slow phase out, where they allowed you to get your Real ID, either driver's license or identification card at the state level, and then you could also get your veteran identification also put on on that ID card. So let's move on. Using their Real ID Act compliant driver's license or non-driver's identification card. This means these individuals no longer need to present a VA-issued caregiver patronage letter, VA-issued service-connected disability letter, or VA Health Eligibility Center Form H623 Alpha to enroll in installation access. So again, they're saying that if you do not have the Veteran Health Identification Card or you're a caregiver, all you really need is your Real ID. So that seems pretty. Now look, communication we all know, communication at the top, sometimes it takes a while to trickle down. So you might get a little pushback. So to enroll for reoccurring installation access. So if this is a base that's near your home and you're going to go on it once a week or whatever it is, or whatever, every day to go to the gym, then you want to make sure that you're doing that reoccurring installation access. Eligible veterans and caregivers must establish identity, fitness, and purpose of their first visit to each DOD installation they wish to access at that visitor center. As part of enrollment, you must present an acceptable credential. So that is either your VA-issued Veteran Healthcare Identification Card or your Real ID. Okay, either one. You don't have to have your VA card. You can use your Real ID to establish identity. 2, you must undergo an on-the-spot criminal record and terrorism check to establish what they call fitness. So they just do the quick kind of soft check, the high level, just to make sure you're not on some sort of crazy watch list. And 3, you have your eligibility for on-installation benefits verified electronically to establish purpose. If your purpose is for healthcare and the DOD installation doesn't have a commissary exchange or authorized MWR service, then proof of appointment will need to be provided. So that's an interesting one. So again, if your purpose to get onto this military installation is for healthcare and the DOD installation does not have a commissary exchange or authorized MWR service, then proof of appointment will need to be provided. So what's interesting in that is that if there was a commissary or a PX or a BX or authorized MWR services, then they're not going to need that proof of appointment. Why? Because you can get onto that base to utilize all of those other services anyway. So moving on. More information on veteran and caregiver eligibility can be found online if you Google search it a little bit. Updates to DOD installation access. When entering a DOD installation, veteran and caregiver eligibility is now verified electronically following enrollment for reoccurring installation access. Veterans and eligible caregivers can enter the installation by presenting the same VHIC, which is the Veteran Health Care Identification Card, or Real ID they enrolled with. Enrollment is typically valid for 1 to 3 years or 1 year after the last visit to the given DOD installation. If the patron's VHIC, that's the Veteran Healthcare ID, or Real ID expires, then they will need to re-enroll with their new. So anytime that your card expires, you get a new one. You got to re-enroll with the installation. Termination of the eligibility will automatically result in the termination of the installation access enrollment. If your VHIC has recently expired or is expiring soon, learn how you can renew it. My suggestion is go to your nearest VHA outlet, whether it's a clinic or a medical center, and go to their ID section and let them know you need a new one. Additional requirements for accessing commissary, exchange, and MWR services. Veterans who do not have the Veteran Healthcare Identification Card and their eligible caregivers will still need to provide a hard copy letter, a VA-issued caregiver patronage letter, VA-issued services connected disability letter, or a VA Health Eligibility Center Form H623 Alpha to show eligibility and to access commissary exchange and other authorized MWR services, as these facilities cannot electronically verify eligibility. Currently, for purposes of MWR, commissary and exchange shopping, eligible caregivers and those who are approved and designated as a primary family caregiver of an eligible veteran under VA's program of comprehensive assistance for family caregivers. Learn more about commissary and exchange privileges for veterans online. Veterans with additional questions are encouraged to contact their local installation for further assistance or visit Military One Source. Now, one of the, takeaways here is the idea of being able to utilize that real ID. That is super helpful because some folks just don't have the VA ID card. I think the other piece is that if you were not aware that you can even access, it's kind of nice to know, you need to go to the visitor center and check in, if you will, for your first visit to that installation. Let them know if you're going to be doing recurring visits and so forth, and they will essentially take the ID that you give them when you enroll for the ability to access that installation. They're going to take that ID, and that is going to be your ID that essentially they scan into the system, and you'll utilize as you go through the gate. And it's going to, some of them have the little clicker. I would guess that maybe they're going to be able to click the barcode on there, and it shows that you are valid and good to go to get through the gate. Again, if you are not a 100% rated veteran, then this is how you get on, and you could bring, say, your family member or caregiver, what have you, with you onto the installation. If you are a 100%, in some cases, depending on the installation, if you bring in your award letter, your decision letter from the VA that says, hey, we've decided to award you 100%, some installations, from what I've heard, will give you the 100% rated veteran disability DOD ID card. So you'll get your DOD card with the 100%. Some installations say you need to be permanent and total. If you pull up the DOD's website, it doesn't say permanent and total. It just says 100% veteran. So I think there's a little bit of a gray line there, gray area. And so I think that it just depends on what you give them and the person you're giving it to, how they want to deal with it. So if you get a DOD ID card, then you can also get your spouse one, and your dependent children, as they grow older, can also obtain those, and then they can freely go in and on and off installations without you having to be there. With that, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one, and remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.